Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. Alright folks, here we are after market close on Monday, July 31st. We're going to take a look at Tupperware Brand today. And this is the second time I'm recording this video, so I will do a quick recap. I've started charting, but there's a lot left to do. I'm, full disclosure, looking at TUP because I'm trying to figure out if I'm too late to get into the game on this one, or if there's still plenty of room to go. That's what I'm going to try to decide for myself. I'm not going to disclose my answer because that's mine, but you need to come to your own decisions. This is just my look at the chart. Now, what I did in the previous attempt to record this video was noted this gap down here because TUP is leaving gaps all over the place and is filling gaps all over the place. So important to note that there's now this gap from like 103 to about like 115. And I put it in this sort of camouflaged color based on the background at least, so that it doesn't stand out too much, but that I notice it when I get close to it. So I'm going to do the same thing here because this is also noting this gap that is to the upside of where the price action is now. So that one is pretty interesting to me. Now let's focus in tighter and see where the most interesting price action is where we stand today. 385. Certainly important to see all of this previous support really held on strong here, and when it gapped down, that's right where it rejected and then fell down further and then left this gap here, which was recently filled. So there's that. There is also then a bunch of like not super clean, super clear. I would put this level right about here. Just trying to capture most of this and then this floor and then this flip to resistance, and then we just get some sort of like wrestling around the level, a rejection here and a rejection there. So I see that 430 level, pretty important. That's probably going to be the closest in level that we get to where the price currently sits at the moment. So that one I would say is super important. And then certainly here, you see all of this topping out at at 475 or so. This one is wild and wacky. It's really interesting. Certainly a level here around 512. And then, not much until we get to that gap level, 577. There's a level here in the gap, which is interesting. Certainly right around 638 or so. Let's scroll back and see if these sort of pick up on. Okay, so other interesting price action there. In the world of hopeful bulls, I'm going to put a gap. Well, I'm going to note this gap here. I'm not putting in a gap. Gap is existing. I'm just going to note it there. So those will stand out if we ever get close to them. And also that, catches that sort of like wick level. They're pretty close. Now, a few levels to the downside in case it does pull back or does start to retreat again. Let me see. In the low 4s or upper 3s. Okay, that's scrolling much further left is not going to be super helpful, unfortunately. So we got minimal stuff to work with. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to go down to, what do I want to go back here? Bunch of months. So let's go to the 4 hour. See if the 4 hour gives us anything of use. Okay, this elucidates us a little bit. Gives us a level right around here. It's not super clean, but if I kind of split the difference, there's this resistance and this support sort of in there. I'll go down even further to the 1 hour. Let me see where that leaves us. Okay, so scroll left. All right, so this gives us a little more, but yeah, it's these big moves. The challenge becomes you're not left with a ton of scroll left. That old adage, scroll left and find out where support and resistance are. The big moves really kind of kill that. But here are some levels that kind of stand out. I mean, there's So I would say this one is more here. And then there's, so some of these levels are kind of tight in. And I mean, the way that this thing moves, I feel like I need to put in more levels than I normally would because I don't know if it's just going to blow through these in a day, potentially. But this is what I look at for the time being. Let's get back to where we are today. So we're going to switch over to ThinkorSwim in a sec to take a look at how that chart looks. It's a slightly different setup, you'll see. But the levels that I have on the chart, to the upside, I have 474 or 475, 513-ish, and then 638s, and that gap starting around 577. That's the start of the gap, right? Yeah. And then to the downside, around 385, 368, 351. What is this puppy here? 337, 326, 312. So that's my look. This gap I'm not worried about because it filled it. Could it come down and fill it again? Sure, but I'm not going to note it because it's already filled. So that's my look there. Now I'm going to flip over to ThinkorSwim. Now in ThinkorSwim, I have this set up with a few different indicators here, TTM squeeze, RSI, and then this SATI call and pivot ribbon and Keltner channel setup. So I just threw a bunch of jargon at you, but in any case, you see this big uptick in momentum, not a shocking thing to say, and obviously it's well into overbought territory. So those are something to maybe consider, but historically speaking, the way that this thing has moved, it may or may not play a factor. It's just really hard to tell. If I zoom in on this a little bit further, this has left the channel, and oftentimes what we see is, it can spend quite a bit of time outside of the channel, either to the upside or the downside. So this could certainly continue up above the channel, but eventually it usually pulls back in toward the center line here. And if this continues to tick up, this is really going to expand, and it's going to be a little bit clearer because this price action is so extreme and so in such a compressed time frame. It's really, really challenging to get like a really good view. We can zoom in and see if we do something like an hour time frame, how that looks. Yeah, so if the price sort of moves more over a longer period of time, it'll start to look a little bit more like this, where it's kind of already bumping in and out of the channel on the lower time frames. If we do the 15, it'll probably be even more extreme. Yeah, so this is what I was sort of talking about on the daily. You see it's spending some time outside of the channel, and this is on the 15, but this will give you an example. So on the 15, it spent several candles out of the channel today, and then what did it do? It drew down to the midline. This isn't a rule. This isn't something that the price action has to do, of course, but oftentimes this is what happens. Could it come down and stretch through the center line and come down to the lower bound, or even extend through the lower bound? Of course, but that is, the question. And you see here a pretty good squeeze indicator, actually. This was triggering all morning, and then it started to explode here. And if you had caught that candle, you had a really good run room there until the momentum started to die down, which are those darker blue colors on that histogram. So intraday, right, or the lower time frame, this 15-minute time frame, definitely looking much different, both on these indicators as well as on the channel setup versus the daily. So I'm going to have to play around with this to sort of try to come to a conclusion for my own, account to figure out if this is worth a really risky play or not. I'm sure I will keep it ridiculously small, not super averse to risk at the moment. so it goes. But yeah, I'm going to be looking at these levels. I'm going to be looking at the channel. It is nice to know that the channel on that ThinkorSwim setup does really, the picture becomes very clear as you lower the time frame. So, I maybe even lower it down to a 10, 5, 3 minutes, something like that, and try to get a much, much clearer picture of what's going on. So that's where we are. And also, I think earnings are coming up, right? So tomorrow. so who knows what chaos that brings also. It's already embroiled in chaos here in the last several trading days, so it should be an interesting ride. But if you're playing this one, good luck. If you'd like me to come back and take another look at it in the future, comment below, and I'd be happy to. But, I hope you had a good start to your trading week today, and I hope that the rest of the week is strong as well. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.